Communications with citizens should be a priority. What ideas would you encourage to be implemented by the city to improve this?
Well, one that I think is really important that we did implement a few years ago, but it kind of fell by the wayside, and I'm hoping it'll be taken up again, is for the city administrator to write a letter to the newspaper once in a while. And we could even have council members do that possibly. I think that's one place that people read about things, that people who are interested in what's going on with city government. We've mentioned the webpage a couple times tonight, and I think our webpage is pretty functional. Might need a little more constant updating to get it to have the things that people are more interested in, but I'm not sure exactly what those are. I seem to be able to find the information that I need, but I'm not sure what those of you who are not part of city government, what you're looking for really. So we might have to do a little survey to find out what that is or something. One of the best ways for people to become informed on what goes on at the city level is to come to city council meetings. And we have a few people who are there pretty often, and I think they have a pretty good idea of what's going on and how things happen. But the vast majority of the town doesn't come to the meetings. And I guess if they did, we'd have to find a bigger space. But I think the resources are there for people to find out what they want to find out, but maybe being a little more public about it might improve things more too.
Thank you, Brian. Steve?
I agree. If you've ever looked at the city's webpage, which I do often, it's very nice. I've never had any issues finding anything that I'm looking at. You have city council minutes, you have anything you want to know about city government. You've got names, addresses, where people are, who's on what committees, the fire department, all of them do. You know, in the past, the city used to mail out a newsletter to the citizens, kind of informing them. I mean, Jane has had her chat with the mayor forever. I think that's, you know, obviously a good resource for people to be able to come in and talk with folks. And obviously there's expenses when it comes to mailing things. I think nowadays in this era, most people do have a computer or an email. If you wish to sign up to get a newsletter from the city, if you don't want to be bothered with it in your inbox, well then you don't need to do it. But I think if there was a place that said, yes, I would love to hear updates from the city, but it shouldn't be mandatory. If you want to do it, you do it. If not, like I said, the council meetings are there, but I think that website is good. It's been a wonderful resource for me over the years because it's so easy to do. You know, when not leave your house, you can get all the information you want.
Thank you, Steve. Linda?
I too have been to the website several times, and it is very, very easy to navigate. But I also like the thought of the city administrator writing a letter, put it in the paper. You know, people read the paper every day. I think the council's names, email addresses, you know, there are so many ways you can get a hold of them. It's just an easy way to do it. The big one is go to the council meetings. I've been to every one of them, and I found out more things that I didn't know. And that is a really, really good resource. People just need to, if they want to know, people are going to find it. The city administrator is a key. She runs our city. And I think if she put something out there once a week, maybe, you know, once a month, letting people know this is what, you know, what is going on, I think it would help. It really would.
Thanks, Linda. Robin?
It's another drawback at the end of the questions too. It's said already. But I think the biggest thing with communication with citizens is they want to be heard and listened to and know that you understood what it was they had to say. Not necessarily the answer always what they want to hear. But make sure that they understand. And yes, city council meetings are excellent. I attended city council meetings off and on a for the last several years, except for this year. I was trying to be a good mom with the last couple of kids that we had. We've got activities on Wednesday night. But the email is essential. I know going to city council meetings, they have the part beginning where if you're a citizen, you can come forward and state your piece, but that's terrifying. Especially after a complaint, you know, that can be hard. Email is a really good one. You don't want to be abused as a council member either. But it's a good way, so making sure that those are advertised. I always liked surveys. I didn't like the electronic surveys because we are a budget-minded family and we don't currently have internet at the house. We go to the library, and so I miss a lot. So I like the good old-fashioned paper survey from time to time on the really important things. But it does cost money. I'm glad the post office has put out a really good, affordable program to do a direct mail thing that we can do. But we need to listen to people's ideas and hear their input. And that letter to the editor that used to be done addressing major concerns and clarifying things was very helpful. And I've never been to the chat with the mayor. Hopefully a lot of people go. Because for the most part, I found that if I go and I have a question and I look it up, and that is addressed, and then I try to tell everybody when they have common concerns. So usually if there's something going on in the city, people come and say, Robin, what was that about that? And then we talk about it. So most problems just need to be discussed and aired and talked about and make sure people know that yeah, we heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Paul?
Well, we have a new city administrator. I think she's in her third week now. We've already got 3 updates on her weekly meetings as to what she has done. She has provided that to the council. Read that over all the time. We have the chat with the mayor, which I think is on Wednesdays. And we have open forum at every council meeting. Anybody who comes, and the mayor opens it up to open forum, and anybody that wants to stand and give their name and address can speak for, I think, up to 3 minutes. And if it's anything that is controversial, that would have to be, it can't be discussed that night at the board meeting, but it can be brought back by contacting our city administrator. And if the administrator thinks it's something worthy of being on the agenda, it can be added to the next meeting agenda. And so that's one way of getting your problem on the table. Last but not least is that cell phone and that dial-up phone that's on the desk. They both work in my house, and I've got dozens and dozens and dozens of calls, and I've never cut anybody off. I've always tried to answer everybody as truthful as I could. As long as they want to make it a two-way conversation, I'll talk to them, but when they want to hog the phone, then I'll just tell them, I either get to talk or this stops. So I think that's what communication is all about. It's always two-way. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. This will be our last question. The mayor candidates were supposed to be up here for 30 and the city council for 40, and they've all been up here for a total of 100 or hour and 20 minutes, so when we're done. So anyway, with respect to everybody, thanks for all there's questions we're not going to get to. So this will be our last question. So our last question is going to start with Steve. Steve, what is your position on allowing city residents to raise chickens within city limits? We have to finish with a good one, don't we? You think I made that up?
No, I know you did not. I happen to be on the planning commission, and I think that the first meeting when I was a member, this was the hot topic of the evening, was to allow raising chickens within the city. The planning commission, I think, was pretty universally against having chickens within the city. There were some very, very vocal comments from members about that. Here, I voiced my concerns that, you know, if everybody was in compliance and they did what they were supposed to do with their chickens, it wouldn't be an issue. But I see it as, I look at a little 50-foot lot in Pine City. You could conceivably have 4 chicken coops in your backyard. There again, if everybody behaved themselves, the chickens behaved themselves, didn't get out, you know, it would be not an issue. The way the original proposal was put together, I could not vote for either. I voted against it, and unless there's something that changes remarkably within the proposal to have chickens in the city, I just don't see it as a reality.
Thank you, Steve. Linda, you're next.
That's funny because I know who wrote the question. It depends all on the amount of chickens. 2 or 3, okay, fine. But the problem with that is a lot of people don't tend to their animals as they should. I understand the whole thing about self-sufficiency, I can appreciate it. But when you have more than 3 or 4 chickens, then you have 3 or 4 chickens waste, you have 3 or 4 chickens noise, you have 3 or 4 chickens everywhere. And chickens do not behave themselves, we all know this. So would I be for it? Believe it or not, no, I would not.
Thank you. Robin?
Well, I'm a big one for self-sufficiency. And if we were allowed to raise chickens in town, I would probably have to try it, just for fun, to see what it's like. But I'm a city girl. I have no idea what's involved in raising chickens. Except the fact my mom, when we lived on Grandpa's farm growing up, she hated doing the chickens. And chickens don't do what they're supposed to, and they are very mean. But, you know, we still have our health scares at the grocery stores, and we've had egg recalls, and it is a healthy, wonderful, natural thing and an educational experience for kids. So, like I said, you'd have to do the research, you would have to decide what the benefits and the drawbacks were, and if there were more benefits than drawbacks, then that would be good. But that would, we would have to have a lot of discussion on that one. If it was passed, I would probably do it. So.
Thanks, Robin. Paul?
I sit on the council, but I do not sit on the planning commission. I heard that it was quite controversial. Do I think I know what would happen between myself and my wife if I told her I was going to start raising chickens. She would tell me where to go and how fast to get there. I think that if something like that got out, because I did remember hearing one comment, that supposedly in the neighborhood, the comment was made that if they bring chickens in, I will have hogs next week. So I don't know where that would go or where it could have went. I would have not recommended that as a good situation for the city. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Brian?
Well, first of all, I have to correct Steve. I too am on the planning commission, and there was one person who was in favor of chickens, and that was me. I thought it was, for one thing, it was one of the most interesting proposals and generated some of the most interesting discussion we've had in a long time. And I really enjoyed the discussion. The person who originally proposed it was enthusiastic about it, had a lot of good rationale for doing it, had done some research to bring to the Planning Commission and Council. So I thought it was worth considering. Now, I don't know if it would have worked, but I like to analyze things. We have dogs all over the place. Are they always well behaved? No, they cause a lot of trouble. They cause a lot of smell. They cause a lot of noise, a lot of pain. I would rather have a chicken next to me than a misbehaving dog, quite frankly. So I was in favor of trying it as a little experiment. You know, do a one-year trial, see if it works. But on the other hand, it's probably not the most momentous question that has come before the council this year either. Just the most entertaining.
Thanks, Brian. Would we like to close with a 1 minute, just kind of a wrap up? Candace, want to do that? Okay, we'll start with Steve. Just a 1 minute to just kind of tie things up.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank the Chamber, Lisa, I hope I still have friends at Window after working with them for 8 years, Dr. Musgrove for this opportunity. You know, I look at this institution and we talk about jobs and creation of jobs. What a wonderful resource we have here. everybody doesn't have to have a college education to make a good living for themselves and their family, and this is a perfect example of that. So I've been here all my life. I live here. I would like to make our community better. I would appreciate your support, and again, thank you to everyone that put this event on for us this evening.
Thank you, Steve. Linda?
Thank you, Dr. Maxwell. Thank you to college for the time and the forum. I would like to thank Windows for their input on this. Thanks for coming. Thanks very much. I would also like to thank the crowd for coming and listening, because it's really important for people to be informed of what exactly is going on and who's running. And I think I would really like the opportunity to run, to help with the council.
Thank you, Linda. Robin?
Again, I'm glad to be here. And thank everybody as well for allowing us the opportunity. It's as terrifying as the thought of being here, and I did this 2 years ago as well. It's very terrifying, but I felt really good about it. And it's nice to be able to have people see it, and it's in video, of course. And it'll be available at the newspaper, which is even more terrifying as well. Hopefully it's not on YouTube everywhere too. Oh well, I'll tell my kids, you look me up and don't tell me what you thought. So, but to get to see people and hear them talk and get to know what they feel is very important. And I just love Pine City. We've been here the longest they've been, and I would really like a chance to use my God-given talents, abilities to do a better job in Pine City and to make some better progress. And I would love to be able to serve the citizens. And I thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Robin. Paul?
I would like to thank Mr. Musgrove for the use of his Pine Tech. I would like to thank the Windows people. I would like to thank the public. My wife told me about this, otherwise I probably wouldn't have thought about it. In the past few years, I was in business, and I ran a welding and machine shop, repair shop. And I got to be kind of like Mr. Fix-It, a MacGyver type person. Got a problem, bring it to me, I'll see what I can do. I've helped a lot of people that are in this room with projects. I enjoyed every minute of it, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming, and I appreciate all the votes that I can get. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Brian?
Well, I first ran for council 20 years ago, and at the time I was the youngest person on the council, and I've been doing everything I can since then to change that, but after 20 years on the council, I'm still the second youngest person on the council. And I guess I say that to make a point. I think we need more diversity on our council. We need new people, we need young people, we need experienced people, we need a good combination of all of those. And I think I've always worked hard as a council member. I've always enjoyed being on the council, and if you elect me for another 4 years, I'll continue to work as hard as I can and do the best job I can, and to provide a long experience, and maybe I won't be quite the second to the youngest.
Thank you, Brian. Again, thank you everybody for coming. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the questions. Can we get a round of applause for these guys that are on the hot seat for an hour? This is a long time to get up here if you have any questions. So we really appreciate all you guys coming, and I understand those that couldn't make it. So thanks again for coming, and have a good night.